Well, Shadana was born with AIDS. We did not find out until she was about 6 weeks old. She went for a 6-week checkup. My mother was her caregiver, and the doctors found lymph nodes, and they sent her from the clinic to the emergency room of the hospital, and she was diagnosed as being HIV positive. At that time, she had pneumonia, and they did not expect her to live. And after dealing with HIV for probably about a year or so, she became full-fledged AIDS. In the beginning, it was difficult. It was even difficult for me because at that time, it's back in the early 90s, nobody really knew a lot about the disease. And myself, I had small children at the time, and I didn't know a lot about it. So in the beginning, I was even afraid of her. I was afraid for my children to play with her. I do remember on an occasion, and it was embarrassing then, but I didn't know any better at the time when my oldest child was 2, and they were playing. She was about 3, and they were playing, and I kept real close watch on them, and my daughter went and picked up a toy and put it in her mouth, and I freaked, and I screamed, and I upset the whole house. I upset Shadana, I upset my daughter, and all the kids are crying, and the adults are looking at me like, and I was frantic because I didn't know, and I didn't realize at the time that we were more harm to her than she was to us. But I got educated real quick. And some of my mother's friends that did not want her to raise her, they thought maybe she should put her in a foster home or send her somewhere that she should not, but my mother wouldn't hear of it, and she raised her until she died. Shadana was a happy little girl. She liked to play. She liked outside, but she didn't like her hands dirty, and she didn't like her feet dirty. And she loved Mickey Mouse. She was a fan of Mickey Mouse. When she was 3 years old, she was granted a wish with the Make-A-Wish Foundation and got a chance to go to Disney World to meet Mickey Mouse. And the funny part was that she was afraid of Big Mickey. As long as it was little Mickey, she was okay with that, but Big Mickey was a little bit intimidating. But she really liked people. She liked being around people. Had Shadana lived, I think she would have been a very assertive woman. She would have been a light to anybody. You would know that she exists. She would not allow you to not know her. She would be the kind of, in a good way, the kind of all up in your face woman. Not in a bad way though. Get educated if you're not educated. I would also say don't waste time being afraid of that person. Spend the time getting to know them, getting to loving them like today is their last day. Shadana's life was not in vain. She did not live for no reason. It's important because my mother loved this little girl like she would live forever. And in spite of everything that people said, and people said some mean things, my mother was not afraid from the beginning. She was not afraid. She was not afraid to give her shots. There was even a couple occasions where my mother accidentally stuck herself with a needle, and she wasn't fearful that she got the disease. I think it's important that Shadana mattered that much that somebody would basically take a needle for her, even in her situation. And her life, somebody needs to know that story. There's another Shadana somewhere, and another person who's caring for a Shadana who needs to know that what they went through was not in vain. It was for a reason.